Welcome to Under the Vegas Sun, looking at the people, the events, and the news surrounding Las Vegas and the entire Vegas Valley. Hello, I'm Steve Shore. There are some things that are truly iconic in Las Vegas. The famed Welcome to Las Vegas sign, the Las Vegas Strip for sure, and even Wayne Newton's Casa de Shenandoah. But one iconic landmark was almost destined to be destroyed, but instead it was saved from the wrecking ball by a man who was a lifelong fan of the star that built the home. I'm talking about the one and only mansion built in Las Vegas by Mr. Showmanship, Liberace. How is the landmark property saved, and what made a businessman from the United Kingdom step in and save it? In a moment, you'll meet the man, MartynRavenhill. His story is what books are really written about. The Liberace Mansion in a moment. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Frankie Shinta, downtown's king of entertainment. You're watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Shore.
Over the years, Las Vegas has been known for many different things. Probably the lead of it all has been the entertainers, the names that have really been all over the Las Vegas Strip. Names like Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr., Wayne Newton, and so many more. One name has always been there about the elegance of Las Vegas. That name, Liberace. But over time, his home in Las Vegas, well, it became a very, very poor situation, falling apart. Then it changed. It changed because of a man who was a fan of Liberace, who made all of that happen once again. His name, MartynRavenhill, our very special guest today. Martin, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction.
You know, I think it is very, very clear to me that it is the entertainers that helped make Las Vegas, Las Vegas. I mentioned just a few. There are so many down the line. But there are certain names that have always been associated with this city. Two of them stick out more than any. One, Elvis. Because what Elvis meant to the city and what his career really meant because he was involved in Las Vegas. The other was Liberace. You're a fan of Liberace. You're from United Kingdom. You were a young man growing up with this amazing talent that you saw on TV. Where do you see Liberace as helping make Las Vegas what Las Vegas is?
I really maintain he is one of the very pillars to this city. And even though his memory has dimmed a little bit, I am trying to hold the legacy, keep everything alive, and bring it back to how it was. And I think that pillar to that part of the city is as strong as ever.
There's been a lot of songs of recent years, especially songs that have been for the younger generation that have talked about Liberace and his elegance and his flamboyance. There is a new generation out there that I kind of believe as though will look at Liberace as in a different light than maybe a generation or two before. That maybe got tied up with the negativity that sometime occurred with Liberace, that now young people see him for the talent and the flamboyance that he was.
I certainly think what you say has tremendous merit because, of course, you know, he was the number 2, Rock Hudson being the first, to die of AIDS. And that was a terrifying thing at the time, and people wanted to distance themselves from it. So he checked out of this world in a very, very unfortunate, a very, very scary time. However, we're not so scared of that now. We know the medicines, we know how to not get it, and stuff like that. And so there is a new freshness with young people. You know, it is not the death sentence it once was. And I think because of that, people are prepared to embrace all of the stories and the things which were so atrocious and uncomfortable at times. People didn't want to talk about it. But now people are happy to do so.
So I knew Lee. Liberace was one of those people that if you knew him, if he knew you, everybody knew him as Lee. Lee, that was his name. And Lee was this amazing man to me that did so many things that people never ever knew that he did. He did things to help people. He did things to make sure that the legacy of music, not just his music, but music in general, continued. And a lot of it was tied to this place on Shirley, his house. At the time that it was built, and I think it was 1974 when it was constructed, Shirley, the street that it's on, was really at the end of what was Las Vegas, not too much south of Tropicana at the time. Today, it is right in the heart of a lot of different places, right across from the Thomas and Mack Center, right down the street from the airport, not too far from the Las Vegas Strip. But that house was as much iconic of Liberace as it was anything. You agree?
Yes, I do agree. It was a house which actually he purchased 3 houses next door to each other. One house was on Wilbur, even though it was next door, and it was for his accountant, bookkeeper, Lucille Cunningham. The other 2 houses, they were actually built in '61. He moved in there in 1974. The house wasn't big enough. He joined them together. He made an upstairs. He was the only person in the street to have a 2-level house, and he even got the gas company, and I don't know how he did it, to pipe in gas to his house. He had that much clout and was so important. But yeah, it was just a middle-class neighborhood. But he had the biggest and best house in that neighborhood.
I remember his signature L on
Yes.
the gates.
Yes.
I remember going into the house, and the flamboyance of who he was quite evident inside that house. But in 2013, the house faced foreclosure. It was in a deplorable condition. It was near ready for the wrecking ball to come in and destroy it. You, a man who had never seen him perform live, had only, through all of your early years, seen him on TV, listened to him on records. You, from Britain, a Brit, as you call yourself, came over here and out of the clear blue sky, purchased the house for $500,000, and you were determined to save this iconic landmark of Las Vegas. Martin, did you just lose your mind that day?
Perhaps it was a bit of temporary insanity. I don't know what it was. A friend of mine asked me to check out the movie with Michael Douglas and Matt Damon, Behind the Candelabra. I looked on YouTube. He only had the trailer. It hadn't been released. But at the end of the YouTube, it just went automatically into another thing, and it said, Liberace's mansion, dilapidated, foreclosed by the bank, please someone save it, you know. So how can that be? I called the realtor, and they said, well, yeah, it's it's for sale. I got on the plane. I was here the next day. I met the realtor, who was so tired of showing people the house, because they weren't going to buy it. They just
wanted to see it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I walked in there, and something told me, and it was very, very strong message. Buy it. Save this place. This is Las Vegas history. Now, coming from England, we know all about history over there. They're obsessed with it, actually. And also we have plane loads of Americans every day coming and just getting that little antique or buying London Bridge and put it in Lake Hamilton or whatever.
And in Las Vegas, our history, we implode. We knock it down.
So it's kind of the tail wagging the dog. I was the Brit now coming to America to save a bit of American history. Caroline Goodman came to me, the mayor of this wonderful city, and she said, Mayoress I should be, say, she thanked me. She said, "Thank you, Martin, thank you. I don't know why no one else wanted to do it, but just thank you."
There were 2 sinkholes in the house,
Yes, right.
ready to destroy the house.
And
you saved it from going under. I mean, literally going under.
Literally.
You recreated this image, this facility that was everything that Liberace was. And again, I'll go back to what I said before. Here is this Brit, never saw him live, only on TV, determined to come here, look at the house, and then out of really, I gather, a whim, sign the papers, buy the house, $500,000.
Oh, that's what could happen in 10 minutes, yeah. And, I get excited. How can I put it? I mean, yes, it's not rational behavior. A lot of people said, what are you doing, Martin? You lost your mind. If it was worth doing, someone else would be doing it. And I said, no, I had to do this. I had to complete this. And that is how we are the first property on the Clark County Historic Register. I'm very proud of that.
The first property.
The first property. There wasn't even a historic register here. I worked with the commissioners relentlessly. And now we have a level of protection. And we are the first property in Clark County, Las Vegas, to be on the historic register.
There's so much about this house. There's so much about the character of the house that you put back in. There's so much about the history of the house that I want to talk to you about. We're going to take a break for a couple of seconds. When we come back, this very, very unique house, I'll tell the audience, 15,000 square feet of house, 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms, 15,000 square feet. It's an amazing story. And from what I understand, we won't give it away to the audience. From what I understand, you get a sense that Lee is in the house sometimes. We'll talk about that in just a couple of seconds. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's Mark Chinook from Monday's Dark, and you are watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Shore.
On Shirley Street in Las Vegas, there is this iconic home. 15,000 square feet. 2, that's right, 2 bedrooms. It was the home of Liberace, our very special guest, the man who saved this incredible mansion, MartynRavenhill. Welcome back to our program.
Thank you.
Okay, so I wrote some things down. I want to make sure that I have this correct. There are 2 bedrooms in this house.
That's right.
10 bathrooms.
That's right.
10 bathrooms. I'm not talking about 4 or 5. 10 bathrooms in this house. 18 chandeliers. 8 marble pillars. And maybe, sometimes late at night, a sense of whose house this is comes through. Is it an amazing house?
It's a phenomenal house. I feel very privileged that it is in my care. And I'm a big believer in destiny. Big believer in destiny. I had no intention of buying the house. Steve, if you'd have said to me 2 months before me buying the house, Martin, you're going to buy Liberace's mansion in Las Vegas, I'd say, Steve, you need to go back to the doctor and get that prescription refilled. Because I wouldn't have believed you. However, these, the best things in life are not planned. And I had a sense of duty, a sense of responsibility, and since I've had the house, there's been a few things I can't explain. I've heard a sort of shh, and I was the only one in the house.
And you're the only one in the house.
I know, yeah. And the dog can't do that, you know?
No.
I've got 4 dogs, and none of them can do it. And but the dogs, they all sit up in their cages.
By the way, and I have to tell the audience, that Lee had this love of dogs
Yes,
as well.
he did.
And he loved Bichon Frisés. What's in the house right now?
Bichon
Frisés.
Frisés and a poodle.
And a poodle, but it's the Bichons that run around the house all the time.
That's right, they like it.
So, Liberace was also, besides being this amazing performer, and I truly believe he was an amazing performer. Anybody who ever went to see him, he had a certain power at the piano. It was not just, he didn't just play the piano. He had a power about him. The passion that he felt inside came through his hands onto that piano. And anybody that ever listened to him felt that. But Liberace was a smoker. Smoked a lot, matter of fact. Is it true that at times you walk through the house, and I know you don't allow any smoke in the house at all, times that you walk through the house and you kind of sense the cigarette smoke?
Yes. I suddenly think, what is that smell? There's no one in this house and I can smell cigarettes. And so I'm trotting around the house looking, because it's a big house. I mean, when I've got other people in the house, I have to use my cell phone or see if their car is outside to see if they're still there or not. It is not a house where you can just call somebody. You have to call them on the telephone. And so then to get this whiff of the cigarette smoke is like mighty strange. I don't spook easily. I come from England. I used to play games in the graveyard along with my friends. And so, you know, I'm not scared of anything ghostly. But yes, definitely, cigarette smoke, whispers. I've woken up, heard a piano playing before. But then I've actually thought to myself, wait, was I dreaming this? And I've listened really hard, and all the dogs would be sitting up in their cages, and I'm thinking, perhaps not.
You play, and I've heard you play, and you play exceptionally well. It must, now his great piano, the mirrored piano, which I thought was a most amazing piano. When you sit at the piano, even playing for yourself, do you get that sense also of him?
I've tried to channel, and sometimes I'll just close my eyes and try and not think of anything and see if my fingers sort of just go into automatic, and they do for a little bit, but it's not the same.
There's only one Liberace.
Yeah, a couple of days ago, I was actually lifting my hands up in
Well, he did.
between, and I had to
Yep.
think about it. And
he never thought about it.
Yeah, and it is not the same. I wish I could, but I'm keeping the house alive.
He was an individual that, as I said earlier in the program, did a lot for people. Behind the scenes, nobody ever knew. He never did anything publicly to let people know that he did it. His scholarships today still hold true and helps a lot of people. You want to continue that, from what I understand. Although the house is not open to the public, although you can drive by and take amazing pictures of the house, but it's not open to the public. You do want to allow corporations and nonprofits to utilize the house as a means to maybe raise money for them and make it better. Why has that become so important for you? Because the area of the house that at one time was a swimming pool, because I remember when it was a swimming pool, is now this amazing room, if you want a ballroom, that can be utilized. Why has that become so important, Martin?
I want to follow his dream and live his dream and carry the dream, because it was so important to him. I mentioned in the past, I didn't really like the undignified way he checked out of this world. And so I think that one way I can keep the name alive is to follow his dream and to supply scholarships and help people in the performing and creative arts. And I'm very capable of doing that. I've opened a 501c3, and it's called Friends of the Liberace Mansion, and its mission is to follow Liberace's dream.
You're a successful businessman, very successful businessman. There are some that would look at you, Martin, and say, Martin, you could probably, now that you fixed this house up, sell it for many, many times more than you paid for it. Why do you keep it? Why has it become so much a part of Martin Ravenhill?
I am very privileged, and I like to give back, and I think I'm a big believer in immense wealth and privilege also means immense responsibility. And I'm prepared to take on that responsibility and follow Liberace's dream. I consider it an honor.
There is a certain part of being a philanthropist, as you are. You don't buy a house for $1 million and spend another 3 times that in order to fix it up and not believe that you're doing it for a bigger reason than just to make this house. But there's a part of being a philanthropist that becomes part of who you are. I know you wrote a book. You wrote a book about people and friendships and what's out there. And the social stock market, I think it was called.
That's right.
And I think the book talks a lot about what it takes in today's world for people to become friends, associate, and I think that's somewhat lost. Is that all this is? Is this the extension of Martin Ravenhill that believes in everything that is to people is all about individuals becoming better?
I believe that it is a lot about that. There's, just as in one of John Lennon's songs, good and bad, in everything. I want to bring the good and carry on the good and keep it alive and well, and do all sorts of fun things, which Liberace would have done with the house. As I said, I now have a responsibility, and I will follow that through, and it's been a magic carpet ride all the way. It really has. Meeting people like your good self. I don't know how you do it, but please never stop.
I think it is very important, and I want to thank you very much for being with us, because I think in sharing this belief is very, very important. And thank you for being here. I do appreciate it very, very much so.
Thank you for welcoming me so vicariously.
It is all about legacy. We all hope to have a legacy at one time or another. The legacy of Liberace not only was his talent, but the many things that he did to help a community like Las Vegas. It's good to see that house continuing that because of Mr. Ravenhill. We're back to some closing words in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Visha Calderon, an immigration attorney. Migrating to the United States legally can be tricky and costly. My firm offers fast, professional, and cost-efficient service for you and your family.
Hi, I'm Eamon Springall of Stitched at the Cosmopolitan, and you're watching Under the Vegas Sun with Steve Shore.
The story of how the Liberace mansion was saved is truly fascinating, as is Mr. Ravenhill's effort to keep that part of Liberace alive forever. Thank you, Martin, for your insight and your honesty. Well, Las Vegas has been known over the years as the entertainment capital of the world, so you probably would not think of the Las Vegas Strip as being home to one of the most popular preachers, I said preachers, in the country. Well, you would be wrong. Here on Under the Vegas Sun, we have learned that the Texas-based preacher, author, and televangelist Joel Osteen will be heading to the Las Vegas Strip in January. Osteen will be packing the house over at the T-Mobile Arena on January 27th. Osteen's sermons are seen by more than 7 million people each week, and he says he just likes spreading the word in Las Vegas. Well, by the way, the night before Osteen shares his sermon at the T-Mobile Arena, Calabash will rock the house with the Latin sounds featuring none other than Ricky Martin. Now that, you have to admit, is an interesting weekend. I'm Steve Shore. Until the next time, be safe and enjoy life under the Vegas sun. Hello, I'm Steve Shore. I've been proud to host the TV show Under the Vegas Sun. We've had mayors and entertainers and some of the true movers and shakers of Las Vegas. Well, we're growing again. We'll now be seen in 209 cities in America through our network, Walk TV, as well as in 6 foreign countries. And in Las Vegas, we'll also be seen 4 times each week on Cox Communications, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m., and now Sundays at 7 p.m. on channels 1096 and 96. I just wanted to say thank you.
This has been a presentation of VATV.